Habits change into character. Ovid. My friends, what you do every day is who you are. And if you want to be a stock trader, a stock investor, if you want to know how the charts work and you want to become a charting master, how do you do it? You dedicate time each and every day. We only ask 10 to 15 minutes, and I say every single show how critically important this is to spend this small amount of time, because over time, it will pay incredible dividends. Don't worry about how long it takes. It will take as long as it takes, but once you master the markets, you will make up for all the time you ever spent. And there's no time like the present. Let's jump into these charts. We see stocks and gold are up for the day. Bonds and Bitcoin down. We see the S&P 500 ending the week on Friday up just a little bit, 0.13%, but we do have an okay candle, nice green up candle. Don't have a lot of volume here, but we did see things as they turned around during the weekend. Of course, we had, again, the telltale most recent low. This is a turnaround from down to up with higher than average volume. Then we had this last week almost average, not this week, but the prior week we had that green doji, just barely green. And of course, that was our trigger. Now, it was more pronounced on the NASDAQ 100. It would have been a real iffy thing to do just from the setup you see here with the volume and the price movements to do on the S&P. It did end up also not a lot of volume to back that up, but it did go up, and it did end the week up, which is good to see. You can see these 3 two-day candles as they are heading up just the first day of the latest. So it's 5 days, the entire week of green candles heading up. So that's good to see. Now, as we move, and of course we ended the week, we're above the weekly trend line on the 2-day chart and well above it on the half-day chart. That's good news. Let's look at where we are on the Qs. Now, the Qs was better. We had, above average volume with the bottoming, that following week as it took it a while to turn, above average volume. Last week, we had a green spinning top. You can see it there. And then things turned around this week. But again, not backed up by a lot of volume, but the price did go up, and that is good. We're nicely above the 2-day on the 2-day chart, the weekly trend line, and on the half day. So going in the right direction, up 0.24% long both the S&P and the NASDAQ 100. And it's good to see things looking that good. Now let's look at 20-year bonds. Had nothing definitive there to help us with the bottoming and with the turnaround, just didn't have things backed up. The low didn't have average volume back on the week beginning 22nd of April. Then we had a red doji with higher than average volume. And then we've had this green candle for this week, but didn't even have average volume. And for the day on Friday, down over 0.5%. So again, struggling to maintain things. We can't really even draw a trend line. It would be literally flat. What does that do for us? Nothing. So we're going to have to wait for some more movement to give us some idea as to where things are going and if any kind of trend is really going to take off. I mean, we do see price up for the week, but don't have any volume we have some volume, but not at least average volume or above to back that up. So that is where we are on bonds. We see a lot of indecision there. Well, nothing to back up that move as far as volume goes. I want volume and I want price and I want a clean turnaround. And you know what? You wait until you get those. Otherwise, you are throwing the dice. We don't throw the dice. We don't have to throw the dice. Nobody's putting a gun to your head and making you play craps. You are going to trade on what is working, not just out there throwing your money into a fountain, or at least here, your practice trades. Let's look at where gold is. Again, gold ended up the day 0.81%. When I was talking to the Patreon members, I mentioned GDX and what we see GDX doing. And of course, this is the gold miners. we see how it has, it blew off all that steam after, just like gold did, after the week where we hit the most recent high in gold back on the week beginning the 8th of April, blew it out, but then slowly started gaining. And if we see the high this week, it was $35.88. The high during the pop-up was $35.74. So 35.88, 35.74. We actually hit a higher high this week in the gold miners as it has retraced, which I was mentioning is potentially portending for us where gold might be going as we see it trying to gain some, not quite up to average volume. The last 2 weeks, we saw red volume, which meant each of those weeks it opened lower than the prior week's close. And then this week that turned around. But again, nothing really helping us out a lot. We'll continue. I'm just still somewhat ambivalent on gold. I still think it's going, well, I was thinking it was going to go down with the weight of last week and the volume, but it's going up. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it, see which way it goes. Now, what about Bitcoin? Down for the day, 2.72%, 24-hour Bitcoin, 24-hour-a-day Bitcoin chart right now is down about 4%. So it is good seeing Bitcoin roll back. You can see the volume here over the last 3 weeks has not been up to average as Bitcoin's price has been devolving. So we will keep our eye on things. Again, like I said, I want Bitcoin to reset, to pull back, reset, and then rotate over with a clean up move. About the time, sometime either at or after we start getting our volume here. Once we hit 20 candles, 20 weeks on the weekly chart, we'll have our volume. We won't have to be cutting back and forth to find volume on the 24-hour-a-day Bitcoin chart. I want to see it on the actual ETF that we're looking to practice trade. That is where we are as we end the week. So appreciate all of you being with us, particularly those that tuned in every day that are filling out your practice worksheets, your daily market, weekly market, and trade worksheets when you do practice trades. In fact, I just finished those chapters up in the book, giving you how we fill that out, showing you samples of each of those, and they will be there too. So the book will be going off to the editor this next week, and we'll keep you posted as soon as we can get it available. It will be out, of course, going to our Patreon members first. They're getting free copies. And again, if you want to be a Patreon member, follow the link in the show notes, sign up. You'll be on the first list to get a copy of the new 3-Wave Trading Technique book. You will love it. That's where we are as we end the day. That's where we are as we end the week. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.